Welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 3, right? Is this our third one or our fourth one?
That is episode three. The
Episode
first,
3.
yeah.
And today we're going to start a new segment that we will continue regarding music. You came up with the wonderful idea of coming up with 3 artists, doesn't have to be specific songs, but artists, and they will pertain to a specific topic. So, for this one, we will talk about 3 artists that you can listen to while getting laid. Uh,
That, that, that is correct. Or artists that incentivize making love, not necessarily after having four martinis.
right. Right. So, and you are presenting 4 from your time, and I'm going to present 4 from my, or 3, sorry, 3 from your time and 3 from mine, because I can very well pick ones from your time that I enjoy, but I'm not. So that's why, and that's where the sort of dichotomy will come into play. So I don't know if we should do 1 and 1 or whatever. So let's start with you. Go first. You pick your first artist that you want to talk about.
Okay. The first artist that I really enjoy is James Ingram.
Okay.
James Ingram passed away in January of 2019, unfortunately. But he started off as a musician, and he wrote so many songs for other people that they asked him to sing some of the songs. And consequently, uh, he not only was a singer and a songwriter and instrumentalist, he was a two-time Grammy Award winner, a two-time Academy Award nominee for Best Original Song. And beginning in 1973, Ingram charted 8 top 40 hits on the United States Billboard Hot 100 chart. And from the early 1980s until the 1990s, 13 top 40 hits. Uh, he is known for certain songs which I thought were highly romantic and I found very successful in my lovemaking. One was uh, a duet with Patty Austin, who was a famous female singer in the 1980s, called, the song was called Baby Come to Me.
Okay.
And it was absolutely beautiful. And back in 1983, he did a song, I Don't Have the Heart. And that is really a heartbreaker. And if you're dancing with a woman, whether she's had no drinks or many drinks, uh, if you can't score, you might as well change sex. Um,
That's awful. That's actually awful.
yeah, but his best album was his R&B album of 1991, which was a rhythm and blues album. There were 10 songs on the album, as most albums are, but I'll just highlight a couple. One was Where Did My Heart Go? How Do You Keep the Love? From, I think, Ending, Just Once. Uh, I think Disney picked up on Somewhere Out There.
Somewhere out there, mate. Somewhere out there.
Yeah, yeah. I Don't Have the Heart. There's no easy way.
I was gonna say I don't have the heart. By the way, I don't have the heart came out in 1990, not 83. Um,
Is from the R&B album in 1991. That the
no, I
best.
know, but the song that you were saying before, I don't have the heart. That's 1990, not 83.
Yes, I said the Rhythm and Blues album was from 1991.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, okay.
I,
Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay.
yeah, and he was, like I said, very, very, very mellow. Uh, he also had songs in 1993, Someone Like You, Let Me Love You, This Way, Always You.
Okay, so would you say he's you said it's a mellow sort of thing. Is he more is it you said it's R&B, so he's slow and he's sort of methodic with it, melodic with it. Um it's like I describe it for me. What kind what because I would happily play some of the music, but the fact that this is going up on YouTube means that I can't because I will guaranteed get this taken down. So describe
However,
it to me.
when I say it, his music is soft, but you want to listen to the words.
Okay.
Compared to, compare every word means something. It touches your heart, and the words are well written. I don't know which songs he composed, but whoever did write them, the words are right to the heart, and his voice is spot on, mellow.
Okay. All right. Um, and you feel that that puts you in the mood. Okay.
Oh, he can't strike out with his music. If
All
you
right.
do,
So for anyone who's looking for that little twist to your music playlist, and you're trying to impress a girl who's never heard of James Ingram, by all means, to now completely contrast that, I am going to present mine, which is completely, I guarantee you, without even knowing the lyrics of James Ingram songs whatsoever, 100% guarantee you it is going to be nothing like this artist. For anyone who's my age or around my age, you most likely know the artist of Bazzi, Bazzi. He's what is he? He's an American singer and songwriter and record producer. The one song that he did that got popular was Mine. Uh, in what was it, 2017? It says here. And it gained popularity in 2018 when it became a meme through Musically. Oh my gosh. And the
you know,
use of Snapchat lenses. So he's had 11, he's peaked at number 11 on Billboard Top 100. So he's not great. And he peaked at 14 on Billboard Top 200. So he doesn't have like, he's not crazy. He's no Harry Styles or, you know, top or James Ingram for that matter, top 40s and top 50s. He's good artist, but nothing crazy. Most of his songs are. I haven't listened to a ton of his songs, but I've listened to at least five or six of them, and they're all sort of. I don't know how to explain it. It's sort of a. It's pop, but it's sort of ethereal and it's very floaty. A lot of his songs feel like you're floating and you're sort of in a cloud, and similar to, for those who are my age will know, The Weeknd. That sort of style of music where it's floaty and it's trying to be R&B fusion pop put together. Um, yeah, I to me that's I would say that's my number out of our three. That's the one I think that people will use to get laid, um, because it's got that, shall we say, trendy feel to it. For most people my age, we don't go for a ton of slow stuff like how you used to listen to, or Sinatra era music where it's that slow, drawn out piano music or something close to that.
uh,
Um,
Bar- uh, James Ingram wasn't all slow. It
well,
was.
yeah, no, of course. I'm just saying the way, given the fact that I've listened to a lot of music from around that era, and I've heard here and there some slower songs like Arthur Prysick, I know. And if he's anything like Arthur Prysick, lovely songs. I love them. I appreciate them. They're great, but they're also very not uptight. The raw That's a wrong term to use, is uptight. It's very
Old.
no, it's not old. It's just, I guess it's an old style. So, most of the music that my generation listens to is very upfront. It's sex, and it's like we're gonna have great sex and it's gonna be hot and steamy and it's gonna be, and it's a song is an in-depth moment of sex, and we hear the full length of it, and we get euphemisms of hot and dripping and whatever. Meanwhile, your genre of music is more like I'm gonna love you and we're gonna love each other in such a wonderful way. And there's maybe a euphemism or two in there, but
We
they're a
did that.
lot more hidden in terms of symbolism and euphemism, compared to most of the music in my generation.
We did that very well. Did you ever think of having a career in singing?
No, thank you. I've I no, thank you.
Uh,
Uh,
but does is Buzzy a person or a group?
Bazzi, Bazzi. It is one man, one guy.
One
Uh,
man?
his
Uh,
because his name is Andrew Bazzi. His last name is Bazzi,
Okay,
and so
okay,
he just goes by Bazzi.
okay.
Uh,
So basically, you just named two. I don't know if you're going to get into it, but I'm familiar with the Weekend. But you said Bazzi and the Weekend, and I mean, very interesting names to have romance by. What are you going to do? I'm going to make love to Bazzi and the Weekend. I mean, that is funny.
well, but I think I, and that's an interesting point you bring up, which is I think people don't necessarily go by the brand name of like, oh, Bazzi doesn't sound sexy. Why would I listen to his music? Like that doesn't make sense. We don't necessarily, the name doesn't inspire the music. The music inspires the name. So The Weeknd built a career off of these sort of R&B fusion pop sex songs or love songs. Some of them are love, some of them are just about like love and loss, but some of them are sex. I mean, he literally did a portion of the soundtrack for 50 Shades of Grey film. Like so,
Yeah,
you know, but it doesn't mean
that
it's a bad thing. I'm just saying,
that
we
was
we don't
that.
necessarily look at The Weekend and go, the hell is The Weekend? What kind of name is that? That's not sexy. We His music speaks for his name.
Okay,
Versus
okay, I got.
your generation is more like, oh, Arthur Prysick. That's a
No,
name.
no, no. Arthur
Um,
Price is something that is rare. Very few people, even in my generation, remember him because he goes back way back, like with Billy Eckstein
yeah, oh,
and
he goes a lot farther back. I know
yeah,
that. But like I'm just making the argument that like you look at someone like Michael Jackson, that name inspires something. You know what I mean? And yes, of course it's built upon his music and his legacy, but you look at the name Michael Jackson and it's different than something like The Weeknd. And
yeah,
that
that's overlap. That
what?
would be that would be an overlap for your generation, perhaps in my generation. We both would know who he is.
I would say the reason we both know is because my parents' generation is the generation that was the last able to see him in concert and experience him. And some people around my generation, like my age and a little behind me, um, grew up with him in the house or hearing his music just before he passed. Um, but I also think he transcends generations because he's that good of an artist. His music was that good that he's able to transcend generations, similar to Sinatra, in the sense of transcending generations. Sinatra, in my opinion, is classic. You can listen to him if you've heard him and you're tired of hearing him, that's different. But in my opinion, you could show him to any generation and they'd at least appreciate the artistry and the musical talent within it.
Well,
You could say this isn't bad versus some people look at stuff like country or heavy metal and go, "Ooh, I can't. This is not my scene." I think most people could arguably appreciate Michael Jackson, or most people could arguably appreciate Sinatra. That's why they transcend generations.
Mm. So artists like Bazzi and The Weeknd, do you think 10 years from now people will still be saying, I want to listen to their music?
No.
Oh,
Well, Bazzi, no. The Weekend, maybe, because
okay.
Bazzi's got some good music, and I enjoy the music. It's good,
Yeah, yeah.
um, but I don't unless he comes out of nowhere with some major talent that he had hidden in his pocket, or he does something outrageous, or he comes out with an album that blows everyone away. I think he'll do fine. He'll make more songs and people will listen to it, but I don't think he's ever going to be Weekend status. I don't think he's ever going to be that high, that prolific. Um, and for that reason, he'll fade into the wind. Will he be poor and not be able to survive off of his music money? No, he's made tons of money and he'll be fine. And like I said, he'll make more music, but
Mhm.
I don't see him doing something crazy unless he gets wildly recognized for some sporadic reason. The Weekend, on the other hand, which is actually my second choice, was the Weekend, um, is and continues to be on the sort of pop and the forefront of people's minds. Some people may say he's tired or he's old in terms of music and content, and I would to an extent agree because he hasn't shifted. He's sort of done a lot of the same stuff over the years, but he's still prevalent. I mean, there's still stuff like whatever it was, I don't know if it was the last Super Bowl or two Super Bowls ago. He was, he pulled a whole massive stunt and he did the Super Bowl halftime and, um, he's still prevalent. So, but his music almost I would say the Weeknd's almost entire discography is usable for youth sex.
Okay.
Youth, well, that was wrong. Youth meaning like young sex, like not children. Dear God, I meant youth as in young people, like 18 and 23, not like 40-year-olds. 40-year-olds are going to be looking at stuff like maybe James Ingram, maybe something in between. I don't know. I don't know stuff in between there, but
Mm.
that's what I meant. Oh my God, why did I say that? Anyways,
Well,
yeah,
what I
go ahead.
respect I respect what you say, considering you had a music radio show on iHeartRadio for 4 years, 3 hours a night for 4 years, and you're on YouTube. And if anybody wants to follow up, they can just look up Peter Zizis, and they'll see all of your music on YouTube. So
Well, it's
you're
not all. Thank you for the plug. I appreciate the shameless plug. But yeah, I did only play EDM music. I played electronic dance, EDM, that whole genre. For those who don't know, there's a big difference between electronic dance and EDM. Even though EDM by definition is electronic dance music, the specific genres of electronic dance and then EDM are completely different things. Um, so electronic can sometimes have less lyrics and it's just more beats. Dance tends to be more um almost bordering pop, where it's got sort of like faster beats but it's got some lyrics and they're sort of repeating lyrics. And then EDM is like Skrillex or Tiesto or Armin van Buren or whoever. So or Marshmello, that's EDM. That could are and again, they all sort of commingle inside each other. But and then there's obviously other forms outside of that in terms of EDM. There's other subcategories and such, but my show was that realm of music. So
okay.
I don't really have I didn't go on there at 1 o'clock in the morning and play sex music. So but I do know and am aware of a lot of music.
Yeah.
So
Well, you know, just to get back to James Ingram for a moment,
yeah.
he also did a lot of adult contemporary music. So,
Okay.
uh, you know, people still would enjoy him today. He is, he was, and is timeless. Um, but that's what I wanted to bring up again. Will your artists be timeless? And I think you said maybe, maybe not. So
Well, right, and I think that says something about our society as a whole, which, I your music, even if people don't necessarily like it, I think it lasts a lot longer. It has a lot longer shelf life than music that's been made from about 2000 and up. Because a lot, specifically, I would say 2010 and up, but 2000 and up is just as good because um, people like Kesha, they're not going to last. I People will listen to the music for the nostalgic purposes, but I highly doubt people are going to listen to Kesha's TikTok song. The song's called TikTok, not the app. I highly doubt people are going to listen to that song and go, "Wow, the artistry in this is wonderful and it's so moving." And now, what the hell? They're going to say, "Yeah, that was from 2000 whatever." So what? Or Maroon Five's Payphone.
yeah,
That like
she did some nice work though.
no, she did she mind you, she's done good music. I
Yeah,
am That's There's nothing wrong with her music, but as a shelf life conversation in 15 or 20 years, James
yeah.
Ingram's from the 60s and the 70s, and he's what? This It's the 70s.
70s, 80s,
Yeah,
90s.
well, he was born in the 50s, right? So 70s, 80s, and 90s. But I mean, my point though is he's got some of the songs we're talking about is from the 80s. That's 40 years ago. And I would argue, without listening to it, I haven't listened to it yet. And I would play it, but I can't because YouTube will take this down.
Yeah, well, that's one of the good things. When you and I listened to every one of your shows, I think over the 4 years, unless I fell asleep because you were on at 10.
Well, yeah,
One,
I was 10 to 1 a.m.
yeah,
Uh,
uh,
you know,
and it so happens sometimes it fell on my golf day
yeah,
when I took off at 6:30 in the morning.
yeah.
But uh, I, learned a lot about your music and was able to filter what I liked from what I didn't like. And then you also were able to take a look at my more than 3,000 songs in my film library, and then, choose what you want and would go on one of the streaming stations and, you know, make note of it. You didn't have to take every CD I had, but, we shared.
Well,
And
right. And that's I was I was and still am musically open. I enjoy arguably every genre of music, some more than others, like country, and it's cliche, but I do not like country. Um, there are people that I do appreciate who are from country. Bobby Darin from Hootie and the Blowfish. I will happily listen to his country music.
oh,
Am I Bobby Darin? No. Oh my
oh,
God.
no, not Bobby Darin is
Bobby
not from,
Darin's a different guy. Who's what's his name?
I don't listen to that.
Oh
Bobby
God.
Darin, like a Frank Sinatra type.
Frank Sinatra type. Who?
Bobby Darin, his songs were like Frank Sinatra's.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not thinking of Bobby Darin. God damn it. I'm thinking of Darius Rucker. How the hell did I get Bobby Darin from Darius Rucker?
Darius and Darin.
I guess, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know how I switched that. Anyways, Darius Rucker, he from Hootie and the Blowfish. For those who don't know, Hootie and the Blowfish was a like rock band. They go by different genres. Some say soft rock, some say country rock. They were a rock band. Um, Darius Rucker, obviously, at some point when they separated, he sort of did his own shtick, and that was country music. And you tend to see that a lot with rock artists. They tend to, when bands either sort of split or they feel they want to do their own pieces, even with the band still going on, they tend to gravitate towards country. I don't know why. I guess because that's a very guitar heavy industry. It's usually like a guy and his guitar, and that's usually where they tend to want to go because they enjoy using a guitar. But Darius Rucker, I don't mind. I'll listen to his music.
Yeah, but
Or,
we're gravitating from our theme.
well, yeah, I we're definitely gravitating from our theme. The point I was just trying to make is to circle it back to what you were saying, which was, you know, we how we share music, and I'm musically open. And though I may not be extremely tolerant of country, I will listen to it. And that goes for the other realms as well. I enjoy pop, I enjoy rap, R&B. I'm getting into some metal. It's quite good. Uh, you know, classical, I love classical, EDM, all of it. Even some international pieces where I like can't necessarily understand what's going on, but I still enjoy the song. But
Yeah.
to bring it back, yeah. Um, to music to get laid to. Mm, do I think Bazzi will last more than 10 or 15 years? Probably not. I think he'll sort of fall into the wayside. There'll be people that'll find him and go in 10 or 15 years and go, boy, this is really good. I could get laid to this. And and I think most people, though, will forget. He'll sort of fall into a niche category of, oh, have you heard of him? Oh, yeah, I remember him. Or some teenagers will be like, ah, this guy sounds pretty good. All right, you
But
know.
you don't even have to have the end result of getting laid. Uh,
Well, but it does like
but
to set
they
the mood.
together to hug, to kiss, to feel warmth.
We call
Uh,
that cuddling now.
oh, cuddling. Okay, we called it cuddling in my day too. Okay, we called it cuddling. That was the first step before marriage.
Well,
Uh,
not anymore. You do that with too many people. Do you know, actually, sidebar? Uh, I don't know if it's in New York, but I know in certain places in the world, um, and in the US, you can hire a cuddle buddy. You can hire someone similar to like a prostitute. You hire a prostitute, they come over, you do some stuff, and they leave. You can hire someone to come to your house and hold you. Like
oh
just
yeah,
nothing sexual. They come over and it's like per hour, and they will sit there and watch TV with you and watch movies with you and just cuddle you.
yeah. And if you have big cash, you can buy from Japan some wonderful uh, robots or IA type uh, things that will also um, dance with you and cuddle with you and keep you company. So there's a lot of things in the future. I shudder to think, what's going to be there. You know what I'm saying? But
we
I'm
all
gonna,
we all know that there is going to be more sex dolls and robotic
I
things.
don't know what it is, what a sex doll is.
Oh, of course not. Oh, of course not. No, we no idea. It's a new feature. No, no, no. We've no idea.
I just want to make a mention of something you said before.
Good.
I was in the record store, and years ago, what was the biggest record store in New York? Uh, I forgot the name of it. Oh, gee. It started with a T. Um,
I don't
anyway,
know.
anyway, so I saw an artist, Arthur Prysack, and I introduced you to him, but he's he's like a Billy Eckstein or a really older artist who sings where words are sung, and two of his hits from 1987 in his jazz album was "Bring It Home to Me" and "This Guy's in Love with You," and very very sentimental. Women would love this. Our new generation would not. And just wanted to mention he was a great singer. And to date, people would say to me, they know they can get his music on the internet, but to date, they would say to me, "You have a CD of his? Oh wow, we have trouble finding CDs. We could get them online, but in my day, you couldn't even find a CD of his. It was very, very rare.
Yeah.
And one day I walked into the music store, I bought like 12 CDs. And when I came home, I had worked in a predominantly minority neighborhood. I'm telling you, I was offered big money for those CDs, you know, because the people couldn't find them. And
Well, and but like that's an important perspective to bring up, which I think also caters to why and how certain music is the way it is. You know, you just said people would look at you and go, "Oh, you've got that album," and they'd pay you big money for it. Nowadays, as long as you have internet, you can get everything for free or for half free. You know, I can go on YouTube and find every song that I ever want, or I can go on Spotify and I can
yeah,
get every song that I ever want and some. It is impossible to listen to every song that I ever want to listen to
hmm
on YouTube or Spotify because there is a not an infinite amount, but there is such a number that it is mathematically impossible to get through it. And for that reason, because we have such an abundance, we take for granted how much effort, time, and energy it takes to put into these songs and to create these songs. And simultaneously, we don't value them that way because we also have people who they're doing stuff in their basement in like a day and a half and it becomes a pop hit on TikTok and people love it. And the problem is you've got people who are spending tons of money and effort to create these wonderful stories and they don't work. And it doesn't get popular because they're not catering to the trends and they're not following the media. They're just trying to make good music, but because it's getting lost in the sauce of the internet, there's such an abundance that we're not able to find sometimes the good ones or the ones that deserve to be good because the ones that are most problematic or most conflicting or trendy tend to thrive. And that's why, to bring it back, why I think someone like Bazzi won't last more than 10 or 15 years because he's a very trendy artist. The Weeknd came first. The Weeknd's type of music was new. And that's why I think he's lasted as long as he has and will continue to last longer because he had that sort of concept of how his music is on like lockdown. He was sort of that one who came out and was like, "Oh, this is interesting. This is new, refreshing." Even if it's not new completely, it was refreshing to the music community and industry. And then
yeah.
someone like Bazzi then comes in and gives his rendition, which is similar to the Weekend. And for that reason, Bazzi won't last. Um, yeah.
But I will explore him, even though uh, I'm a widower. I will play his music and see if I find any value to it for me. I got to hear words. Words mean something to me.
Well,
Uh,
that's actually super important too, though. You value lyrics. You know, some people don't want to listen to lyrics because if you're getting intimate with someone, if you're focusing on the lyrics more than the person you're with, then we gotta have a separate conversation. But that's very important though, because I know I have friends who they want music to set the mood, but they don't care what the lyrics are. They just have to feel it, whether it's the mixture of the lyrics and the beat or just the music and no lyrics. They need a mood, and that mood is not set specifically by lyrics. For you, lyrics are important enough that they can set the mood.
Most importantly, gotta hear the lyrics. Gotta understand the words. So
That's fair.
Bozzy's your number one. Weekend's your number two, or it just came up in the conversation.
I'm not necessarily ranking them best to worst. I'm simply just Bazzi was my first one, and the Weekend was my second one.
Okay.
And I think they're both similar in themes and trends in sort of that um ethereal floaty type music that uh is trendy and fits the narrative of a good portion of my generation. I think a lot of kids in my generation and the ones coming up, you throw on your LED lights strapped to your ceiling, throw on some Weekend, and I guarantee you it'll put you in the mood.
Who's who's strapped to your ceiling?
LED lights.
LED lights. Oh, okay.
The people, it's a trendy thing right now because of TikTok. A lot of kids are taking a strip of lights. LED is light emitting diode. They're the color
Yeah,
changing ones.
yeah.
And you can tape them to your ceiling and you get a little remote and you can change the colors. So you can make it blue, purple, sky blue, dark blue, orange, green. You can make it all these different colors.
Mhm.
So if you put it on a specific color and play the Weekend, I guarantee you, you and your significant other can find a way to get in the mood.
If I did that my age, I'd have a stroke from the lights.
well, well,
But
but that's why it doesn't work for you. That's why you need James Ingram.
that's right. And by the way, the four artists that well, I just made mention of Arthur Pricer, but the three artists I'm talking about, James Ingram, Barry White, and Johnny Mathis, they were all Afro American artists who, in their day, had breakthrough problems. It wasn't as easy as it is today,
Right.
for
Well, I disagree. I disagree. I think though it is though we have an abundance and we have a massive um every day thousands and thousands of hours of music is being uploaded, I think it's easier. I think it's way easier nowadays than it was back then. I just think the
what I just
path.
said.
What?
That's what I just said.
Oh, I thought you said it was harder today.
No, easier
Oh,
today.
okay.
It was more difficult in those days. And some of them, if you wanted to record, they had to give up the records, what they wrote, you
Yeah,
know,
you have to give the rights away.
yeah, the rights away. So, do you want to highlight anybody? Should I go on with my second
No,
choice?
go for your second one because I already hit two of mine.
Okay, the second one is very surprising. They say people shouldn't judge people by the way they look.
Okay.
Barry, Barry White.
I knew you were gonna say Barry White. I knew it. I didn't bring him up because I knew you were gonna bring him up. Go ahead.
Barry, Barry, Barry White. Yeah, Barry White was had to be 350, 400 pounds, and he uh, had some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful songs, uh, and he had songs that were instrumental, and he used giant orchestras, and he used um, individual, individual singers to accompany him, and mostly he sang it by himself. And he had a voice other than Isaac Hayes. I don't know if you know who Isaac Hayes is,
I
but
don't, but I
Isaac Hayes had a very deep voice. Uh, Other than Isaac Hayes, I don't know anybody who had a lower voice than Barry White, but he had songs. For example, his his rock album of 2000, his greatest hits, Love Theme was an instrumental, was beautiful. I wish you were able to play it online because you couldn't sit in your seats without dancing to it. It wasn't a Hold Me album. It was, a song. It was a dance song.
well,
Uh,
you know what I'll do? I'll think about it right now. What I'll do is in the description of this YouTube video, if I find a way to put this on Spotify or something, then sucks for you guys. But if when I put this on YouTube, I will put in the description the names and the songs or albums that we talked about, so that for anyone who watches, they can look it up. So
Yeah,
they don't have to repeat or rewatch and do whatever the hell. They can just look in the description and see all the names and things that we spoke about. So
yeah. Like one of his great songs were you are the first, the last, my everything. Um, it was fantastic. Uh, Love theme, like I said, was instrumental. It's ecstasy when you lay down next to me. Um, Very sensual music, and I'm just gonna love you, just like a little bit more, babe. Never gonna give you up. Uh, he surprisingly died in 2003. I'm surprised he lasted so long at age 59 because, like I said, he was very overweight, but he was a sharp dresser and he encompassed everything: disco, jazz. Uh, if you look, he's on Spotify, everything. I mean, he goes through many generations. Barry White. Your parents, your grandparents would know about him. Uh, I mean, I remember mentioning to your mother. I mean, I'm 77. Your mother's in her early 50s, and she remembered him. I don't know if you know who he is.
So I was going to say, for my generation and probably people around my age, they either have heard of the name Barry White or have maybe heard of a couple songs from him because it's been in the household. Again, names like Barry White, Arthur Prysick, James Ingram, those are names that my generation will never know of unless we had them in the household or we were sort of taught that curiosity for music and we hunted for it. So I've heard the name. I've most definitely heard music by him. I don't know specifically which ones. Like I know for a fact I've heard his music, but I couldn't tell you which ones. So, but for anyone who doesn't know, on top of what you were saying, Barry White had 20 gold albums, or sorry, 20 gold and 10 platinum singles, and had a worldwide record sales of in excess of 100 million records. So, and he's considered one of the best-selling music artists of all time. So, just as reference for how prolific Barry White is, he is one of the best. And for those who've heard his name and haven't looked him up, it is in your best benefit to look him up.
Yep. And who is your next artist?
My third artist is someone that I think this one is, I think, more personal to me. So I think the first two I chose, Bazzi and The Weeknd, um, are more like if I was getting intimate with someone and they were played in the background, I'd be like, yeah, okay, this could set the mood, depending on the person or what kind of mood we're in. I think this can do it. This one I think is more in my opinion because I don't know a ton of people who know this artist. So this artist is called Amber Run, and they play. I don't know what kind of genre they play. It's all. I think it's just lumped in with the generic alternative. Oh no, they're considered a rock band. Okay, they're a British indie rock from Nottingham, UK, and I don't know. I just kind of like them. I had my music teacher in, was it high school or middle school? Wyatt Sakura. Still love that man. He's a wonderful guy and a wonderful music teacher. He opened me up to a lot of music. Um, but he showed me Amber Run. And since he showed me, I still like them. I don't follow them super in depth and I listen to all their songs, but I like them. And it's sort of a the songs that I have in my mind that I'm thinking of um, for what I'm referencing would be probably, where is it? I have it here. Did I not? Oh, I got it right here. I found by Amber Run 5 a.m. or Shiver. Those are three that like I know for a fact that I think are something that I would use, shall we say, in the bedroom. They are more sensual. So I think the difference between the Weekend and Bazzi and Amber Run is Amber Run is the type that I would use in a very sensual and loving situation. Like this, that's the type of music I'd be playing with like a girl that I've been with for many years and I really do love her. And I'm getting deeply intimate with this woman. That's the type of mood I'm setting versus Bazzi and the Weekend. That's more casual sex or more sort of like hot sex, shall you say. The more hot and heavy, you're sort of just it's primal and you're feeling it emotionally versus Amber Run is very planned and sensual and loving. So
Yeah.
that's what I put Amber Run.
After the broadcast, I got to write this down because I can't remember what that is.
I'll let you know. I have them all written down. I'm gonna put them in the description, and I will.
What primal sex is.
I,
And
what I mean,
I can't remember what that is.
what I mean by primal is like when it's sort of like you're in that urge and you guys get it together and it's just a moment. Like you're at the apartment with your significant other, she's cleaning or you're cleaning and she's cooking and you're just getting the house ready for dinner and you guys just like get in the mood and something happens. That's the type of music that like Bazzi or the Weekend would do, versus something that like if it was, for example, my girlfriend's birthday and I'm trying to like set up a nice thing. I put flowers on the bed or roses. I got her a nice meal, or I took her out, uh, and she's got gifts and whatever. And then we're trying to have a nice night. I'd throw maybe that on to have a slower and more sensual time with her over primal in terms of instinctual and sort of very impulsive. Primal is impulsive. That's what I meant.
Thank you for explaining it to me.
You're, you're welcome. Not primal in the sense of animalistic, because that's different. That is another form of sex that people enjoy. Some people like that whole like role play is like predator prey and whatever. We're not getting into that. I'm talking about impulse versus planning. You can plan a night to be sexy and have fun with someone, and then there's times where you're just like, I'm just in the mood and let's do it. So that's where Bazzi and the Weekend are, and that's where Amber Run sits.
Amber Run.
Yeah,
Okay, got a name. Is that a group or individual?
they are a band. They're a full band of
Any,
five,
any
no,
women?
three.
Any
They're
women?
a band of three.
Any women in the group?
No,
Okay.
no, no. Sadly,
Okay. Because none of the artists I'm highlighting are women. So
well, and that's a problem on our end because, and arguably to some that is that's an issue on our end because neither of us have women in any of our songs, and I should have been made apparent to that, and less so you because you may not have understood, but I recognized that I should have. So that's we should be showcasing women artists as well is my point because there's some good um female artists. Actually, what is her name? uh there's one female artist that I'm trying to think of that I might be able to find. um but anyways, yeah, that's my three is Amber Run, and yes, we should be including female artists in this.
mhm. Yeah, you see, also uh, in my day, the artist that sang his image uh, was very, very important. Um, in your day, I don't think image is that important. How
What do you mean by image?
oh you know
Like how the artist presents themselves?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like even Barry White, like I said, might have been 400 pounds. He was suave, um, uh, and all the other artists were very, very suave. In your day, I guess it's a different era. Some of
I think it's also different values as well. Like we don't necessarily value someone who's clean cut because clean cut doesn't make you a good artist. Clean cut just means you can dress well. So I think that's also it. And we are valuing more right now. And what I've noticed is the trend is to be an outcast, to forcibly, not forcibly, but make yourself different from others. Perfect example is Lil Nas X. My man's walking around in a pink suit. Um, we don't need to get into it. He's a rapper. Um,
Yeah,
or
direct from his latest drug bust. The
no, no, no.
no,
Um, or good another good example is Katy Perry to include female artists. Katy Perry is a good one.
yeah,
She a good portion of her career was off of being very or Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, Madonna, they're all fought like in that line. That was sort of how they went. Madonna did all the crazy outfits and the very unique visuals. Lady Gaga followed that with meat suits and crazy outfits and crazy, and then Katy Perry followed that with the same thing. Katy Perry followed Lady Gaga, who followed Madonna, and so on.
yeah. No, I didn't mean the guy with the pink suit who was on stage after a drug bust. I'm just saying a lot of your artists come up. They look like they just came back from a drug bust.
Well, that's because we're all tired.
Yeah.
We're all exhausted.
Okay, so your third artist is
My third was Amber Run.
Amber Run, and
Yes.
I like that name. I got to look that one up and maybe play that. Would that be something I want to play while I'm lying in bed watching the game without sound?
Um, you might. That's a possibility. I think it also depends on the person because Amber Run can be relatively somber at times, and that's why I think for you you may enjoy the lyrics, but it may have to be in a certain time for you. Because for me, I enjoy the lyrics and I enjoy the songs, but at times I can sort of ignore the lyrics to an extent and sort of allow myself to just be in the mood and apply it to a situation like trying to be sensual with someone.
Mm-hmm.
But for you, it may be you may find it's too sad. You may find it's too somber or too slow. Whatever. There may, but most definitely you can try and listen to it. You know, I would say, oh, here's a good example for people in my generation who don't know Amber Run. You could put them in sort of a rock indie realm of Lana Del Rey. So I don't know if you know who Lana Del Rey is, but
I
my
do.
we know who Lana Del Rey is, and I would put them in that realm. I wouldn't say that they're exactly like her, but in that realm of music. That's where they sort of fit.
Okay.
Um, some people would say if I was going to add a female artist, the one I'm trying to find I can't find, but I know some people like Rihanna or I was gonna say Shakira, but no, Rihanna is. I know people enjoy that one in the bedroom. I don't know if it's because it's Rihanna and because they like Rihanna, or because it's actually because her music is.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like Rihanna. I like Rihanna. She presents herself very nicely.
that's a nice way to put it.
Yes.
What about you? What is your third musician?
The third that is everybody of my generation would know. I can only highlight a couple of songs because he's probably made more albums than possibly anybody in show business. Uh, he started off, I'll tell you his name in a moment. He started off as an athlete who, prior to getting hurt, was training for the Olympics. And he had a good voice, a velvet voice. And you'll probably know his name, maybe not. Johnny Mathis.
Of course, I know Johnny Mathis.
Johnny Mathis sung every genre. He's 85 years young now. And I say that because uh, I haven't seen him in maybe 15 years, but I saw him when he was 70, and you couldn't tell that he was 70, much like myself, very attractive man.
Wonderfully attractive.
Yes, thank you. But he would always dress wonderfully uh, and have a full orchestra behind him. And I wonder how many albums he sold and how many records he sold. But he sold everything from Christmas albums to country and western, but it was basically jazz, pop, and as I said, he was one of these athletes that made the transition from being an athlete to being an entertainer. And he started in 1967, I believe. 1967, yeah. 1967, entertaining. And I saw him, I think, about 15 years ago. And did he look older? Yes, because I had seen he was in his 20s. He was thin, uh, wiry, fabulous voice. Women liked him more than men. That's why I chose him. But he had some very famous songs. I'll just highlight a couple. In the Still of the Night,
Okay.
It's All in the Game, Since I Fell for You, You Belong to Me, True Love Way, and Since I Don't Have You, All Alone Am I. And one of the things that really would get women is For Your Love. It would go, For your love, I would do anything. Now, when I sing, I also was a professional. You know, people would pay me not to sing. But so it's shameful that I would even attempt to try to sing the title of that song. But women would melt. I remember in the 30s,
Yeah.
prior to marrying your grandmother, going out on dates, and in the 20s, seeing him, women would just fall back like they would do for Sinatra. And he was an Afro American, and that was unheard of in those days. And then even in later years, your grandmother, should rest in peace, loved him. I mean, like I said, before we had moved away to Florida, we would see him at least once a year when he came to the Westbury Music Festival in New York. So he was timeless, and I don't think he's on tour now. He might be. You can never tell because he's in and out of retirement. Um, but like I said, I have no idea how much, how many records he sold. It had to be a hell of a lot because he covered every genre.
Um, I don't. That's a. I don't know. Johnny Mathis sold records. Oh, he sold over 350 million
That's not bad, is it?
worldwide, which is very good.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
good, considering, just as reference, considering um, Barry White sold over 100 million, and he's considered one of the best. So,
yeah,
I mean, granted, just because you sell that many, arguably, yes, it means you are that good, but doesn't necessarily, the quantity at which you sell your music doesn't guarantee that you are the best unless you are number one. Like, unless you're number one, then yes, you are objectively the best because you sold 2 billion records. But if
yeah,
you are selling 350 million and you're not considered the best, then that's one thing. So
yeah.
I would argue, I would think Johnny Mathis is considered one of the best.
Yeah, one of the
Not that many.
one of the contentious things was, and it didn't affect me by any means, was that he was considered possibly gay, and a lot of men would say, "Well, why do I got to listen to him tell me how to make love or sing a romantic song?"
Yeah.
But their wives would grab their husbands by the ear and say, "We're going to see Johnny Mathis.
Yeah.
You want to go? I'm staying home and I'm going to go with my girlfriends." So
And that sadly that's still an issue today. Certain people won't listen to certain songs because they think that the person is gay or whatever. Um,
mhm,
or because they think that they're singing about a man to a man instead of a man to a woman, because for some people they have to think in that sort of obsolete mindset that they need a man to be singing about a woman for that man to feel enticed towards his woman. Very
yeah,
obsolete mindset. But anyways, yeah, I think he's a wonderful artist. I've heard Johnny Mathis plenty of times.
yeah.
uh,
Good. I'm glad you have.
well, I've heard it from you. I went through
Of
your music.
course, of course.
I went through your music, so of course I heard it from you. But I think,
See,
again,
you know what bothers me, Peter?
what?
What bothers me is a lot of times I talk baseball with some of my older friends
Yeah,
while we're playing golf or afterwards when we go for breakfast, and we talk about old baseball players.
yeah.
And there's few of us, and uh, the younger generation, some of them never heard of Mickey Mantle. They never heard of Willie Mays. Uh, Maybe they heard of Babe Ruth. Some
Right.
of them, Babe Ruth's a candy bar, you know. And on a couple occasions with the younger generation, I brought up names like Johnny Mathis and Barry White and a few other artists. There are a lot of other artists uh, that were very romantic singers, but
Well,
some
like
of them,
I was waiting for you to say Lionel Richie.
yeah. But he's still on television right now.
Right. Right.
So I didn't bring him up. But there are a lot of artists that I liked that were very, very romantic singers, but they got shot and they got killed, um, for fooling around with women. And I didn't want to get into the history, but
That's fine. That's understandable.
you know,
So, but what's your point about? Oh, the fact that you can talk sometimes about these and my generation doesn't know about them.
that bothers me because, it's like if you're talking, I always say to you, you should know the history of your family tree if you choose to. So, and parents should pass down, grandparents to parents to children, and children to their children. Well, the same thing with history, music, the history of music. If it becomes important, um, because one day, God forbid, we may be looking for the music in like some of the old films that got oxidized and you can't find them. We won't be able to rely on streaming services anymore. And
Well, you're
we,
you're getting into apocalyptic situations here. Uh,
yeah,
with the internet shuts down and we now have to go back to records. I understand what you're saying though, and I agree with you to an extent. I think if family is important to you, I think you should learn about your family history. I think if you don't give a crap, then it shouldn't be forced upon you. Same thing with music. If you, as a person, love music, you don't have to, but realistically, you can't say, I love music so much, I love researching it, if you don't know at least some of the history. Because you have to learn where it came from for you to learn where it's going. uh you know and that's like, I love jazz, for example, and I loved taking a jazz class at college. I loved learning about Benny Goodman and even before that, that was the big band era in the 40s, and then before that was the blues and the original stuff that led to jazz and led to Coltrane and all that stuff. So
but did they tell you about Duke Ellington
yeah,
and Arthur Prysack?
yeah, Cannonball Adderley, Duke Ellington, um, you know, Coltrane. We went through some who were we went all aspects. We went to the far extents of the abstract, where it's very very open and free and very formless and creative. And for me, not a fan of it. It's hard for me to follow and hard for me. I can respect it and I understand and learned about it, but can't can't sink my teeth into it.
Right.
But you know, I'll have a good time with Benny Goodman. I'll have a good time with some of John Coltrane's music. Some of it's a little too, um, it's a little. I am not creative enough to understand his genius, so I can't get on his level to understand it. A four-dimensional being can understand a three-dimensional, but a three-dimensional can't understand a fourth. So I can't get there. But I can still respect the fact that he is big, a big contender in the history of jazz. Uh, or what's his name? I'm blanking on his name, and I shouldn't be blanking on his name. Trumpet player, black trumpet player, very very famous.
Louis Armstrong.
Thank you. Oh my God. I was having such a moment there. I was like, I can see him. I can't think of it, but so that Billie Holiday, Louis Armstrong, all these people, you know, I love jazz. So I wanted to learn about the history so I can see where it's going. So I think when it comes to music, if you claim to be a music person, you got to know at least some of the history. You got to know Barry White, Michael. I would say Michael Jackson, but he's too early. I mean, he's too recent. Barry White, some of these guys, Arthur Prysick, John Coltrane, Benny Goodman, Louis Armstrong, all these things. You got to learn the history and where they came from. So, but if you don't, and you don't have to, not God, you don't have to listen to me, but you know, it helps you as a person understand and respect the music you're listening to now, because it allows you to understand what influenced it, as well as respect the music that's already come and appreciate the ones that are coming, because I don't necessarily like people who say, oh, all the good music's behind us, everything now is crap. I disagree.
Yeah, well, that's why, again, not to plug what you did, but all those shows that you have posted on YouTube that you've done over the years on the Peter Zizis, I find as an older person, I can play the music, and if I don't like it, I go to the next show. I could filter out what I like. Um, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing if you have patience and
Well,
you
yeah, you got to have the patience to go through it. Like for me to set up my radio show, I had to, I would go through hundreds of songs a week. Uh, so that I could get new music, because I was getting my music off of YouTube. I found specific songs. There's a way that I was able to do it on my radio show. It's too long to explain, but I was legally allowed to play the music as long as I logged them in a special website. But I played all my music off YouTube, and I would follow these major accounts that released indie artists and major artists new music. And every week I'm listening to hundreds of songs, um, so that I could find new music that's good for my show. So a lot of the music that I played was new or new-ish, and you know was great. And I loved finding the new music because it was like finding new treasure every week for my show.
yeah,
And
at
I
my
think,
age,
you know,
at my age, I got to find new treasure because I I've heard some of the old music over and over again, and it doesn't lose its beauty, but you want to find something new, and you apprise me of some new artists. I'll look into Buzzy and
Bazzi.
oh, Bazzi, yeah,
Screwing up
right.
on the name.
I'm just being facetious, but Bazzi. Okay, so I will, and I enjoy sharing, and I hope that people look into some of the artists my age, look into what you brought up, and your age, what I've brought up. So
I agree. I think, I think both generations, and I think we'll say this for the rest of our lives. Both generations could use stuff from each other. Not everything, but some things.
Yeah, because
That includes
we're
me. That includes musical taste.
yeah, because we're 4 generations removed. So remember that.
Yeah, yeah, we are. So
So that's a lot,
it is. Well, it's. I mean, significant amount of years. Like the back end of the early end of your life and what you experienced. That's wildly removed from me. You know, so and then the front end of my life is something you'll never experience when I'm 80. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be
Yeah,
ridiculously removed.
yeah, a lot of things have changed. I mean, if you look 4 generations in front of you, you had people going, "Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my,"
Yeah.
and
And now we're shaking our ass cheeks on a cell phone for a couple
that,
of likes.
that's right. Well, we had in my generation too. We had, uh, I'm ashamed to say, hit songs like "Shake Your Booty."
Yeah, but we get those songs 3 times an hour made by half-baked kids who are smoking weed in their basement, or their vapes nowadays, not weed, vapes, making these songs in about 20 minutes, posting them on TikTok so people make trends on them, and getting a bunch of not even just adult women, but like children to shake their ass cheeks in front of their phone. And it's a whole freaking problem. But that's a conversation for another time because we are nearing the end of this episode.
Yes, that is correct. And
Uh,
I hope that in the future we talk more about music, but we got more to come in
well, that's the
episodes
thing. That's
4.
the thing. We can make this a thing. We could always do more music. It doesn't have to be to get laid by. It can be just music in general. It can be talks about music. We can bring more artists. We can talk about one specific artist and their whole history. If we, like whatever, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. So, but yeah, we can definitely do music. But we also have plenty of other ideas that I'm excited to talk about.
Yeah,
I
and
don't remember though. I
I'm excited. I'm excited when I'm on the golf cart, hopefully when it stops raining here in Florida. And one of my friends says to me, "What did you do?" I'm going to say, "Well, listen to our podcast on music and watch Bazzi and the Weekend, and or listen to Bazzi and the Weekend," and they go, "What?"
yeah. So, but I think before we close out, I think the last episode we said we were going to talk about how our generations are at war with each other. So we didn't talk about that. That's totally fine. So we'll just get to it in the future. I just want to clear because I think in the last episode we said we were going to talk about that as the next one, but we talked about this, which I was way happier about. So we will get to other topics in the near future. We have tons of things to talk about.
Yeah.
But for now, it is. We shall see you in the next one.
Yeah. And what is the name of our podcast?
Talking with my grandfather before he croaks.
Thank you. And thank you if anybody is listening.